Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ha ba 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 ba. Ba ba. Yep, there we go. Here I am. Although the universe was trying not to make it happen. Honestly, the universe can go eat dick. Chair, I saw your right fucking boobs on the Discord. Goddamn. So you can tell me fussing with this wig, goddamn. Hello, Mommy Krampus is finally here and listen to me develop a list because I'm talking behind these things. So everyone enjoy that, but I'll probably pop them out before we start actually participating in reading because I can't with that. So, there you go. Let me fuck with someone else here. So how's everyone doing? How are you all? Welcome. I'm an hour goddamn late. Good for me. Good for me. And there's nothing wrong with writing boobs, Chair. I just think it's funny because I'm a child. Oh. There we go. You know I have horns. That's fine. Anyway. You can see my nice lace there that I don't have glued down because I'm not a goddamn professional. Wash my hair. Pop up underneath it. There we go. Hell yeah. You are, Chair, and that's what I fucking love about it. It makes me happy. Aw, thank you, Dandy. Alright. Dem horns, them big horns. I got my crampy horns. Love. I got all this big hair. I got... Oh, I didn't put my gloves on. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, embarrassing. Oh, God. But also... because we're Dommy Mommy. Hello, my own... Speaking of mommies, it's my mommy. Hello, mother. Hair between horns, always good. You love to see it. No gloves. Christmas is ruined. Yeah. Ah. I can speak. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Krampus. I'm Dommy Mommy Krampus, here with all of my bad toys for the good girls and boys, and nuns, and others. Anyone who's earned them, really, is allowed to have these toys. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the 100 bits and your validation. The eyebrows, I have eyebrows and you can't see it because of the wig. Do my alerts work? Because I sure as shit can't hear them. I wonder if I can turn enough. Not really.
Commander, nice work out there.
So believe me when I say, when I put my fingers here, I have mutton chops that I glued to my face. No echo, goddamn. One day I'll know what our alerts sound like. Today's probably not going to be that day. Well, it's definitely not going to be that day. Yeah, I gave... Okay, I also pinned this behind my back. But if I can... Yeah, now you can see it. Okay. I refuse to believe on this earth that Mommy Krampus doesn't have a ridiculous amount of body hair. And by ridiculous, I mean probably a normal amount of body hair for a Krampy. A ridiculous amount of body hair per societal's expectations of ladies. So this hairy Krampus goes out to all the furry femmes out there who also grow their own facial hair and be like, no, you still fucking sexy, ma people. Okay. So Freckles. When I tell people that I know I would look so good with facial hair, can I tell you I was fucking delighted when I put this hair on my... Oh my god, I'm gonna make a terrible mistake here in a moment. I was fucking delighted when I put these mutton chops on, because it's all just hair on a string. God, this wig's fucking heavy. The fucking braids. This wig is gonna be my Vegeta hair one day when I get around to it. But until then, oh my god, I'm just gonna keep in circles. This is insanity. I'll never be able to get this up. Okay, well, the hair and the hood will not cooperate together. And the horns. And I'm trying to do this by camera. So everyone just looking... Aww. The gloves were the right choice. There we go. Temporarily. There's your Krampus. Anyway, that'll slip off in half a second. Yes. Okay. Slightly less hairy than the average Yeti. That is true. Mommy Krampus really do still have that little bit of, a little bit more of human. Because it's like orcs and shit in video games, right? The male orc is like a big male orc, and the female orc is a green human woman with pointy ears. So... Every cosplayer do have a helper, and Autumn and I have already had several conversations about who can be whose helper for different things. Watch me tie a fucking noose with these goddamn braids. There we go. Nice. Depending on who has what cosplay going. Okay, so Dummy Mummy Krampus has a whip. For all you naughty children. The good children get the spanker. So beware of that. And then for the real naughty children, I have Scorpion's rope dart. It was one of the first chains I found, so we're gonna go with it. I'm ridiculously late because I hate the new debit system that work has. It's ridiculous and it's mean, and I don't like it. And that's all we need to know. It doesn't have barbed wire instead of sugar. Look, I can only do so much. I already didn't have time. God damn it. I'll be have. Aw, thanks, Mama. I know you would be. But here we are. We're here to read some Christmas. And I gathered up a few different tales and stories. And then I had to reset my computer. So now, we're going to go into a history. And we're going to open up these 9 tabs. Because my computer wanted to crash. And it's absolutely Slobs' fault. All my homies hate Slobs, but guess what? Still haven't fucking changed anything, because that's me. That is what I do. Eventually, I will do the important things, and I will switch over, because Slobs is a dick. But, we're here. For the reason of the season. And we're hungry like the wolf. I don't know where that was about to go, but Let me open up. Mute? No. You're not catching that, me. I need to pop out chat and put it next to the stories so I can fully... Non-mod settings. Pop out my chat. Close that window, goddammit. Stick that there so I can see the people. There we go. Bye, Jeffrey. Tomorrow I'm switching. That's a damn good goal. I want to match that goal. That would be nice. Alright, let me put this in front of me again so I can double check. Alright. As soon as I started grabbing things for Dummy Mommy Krampus, of course you know what I found, because I was digging through all of my shit to dig up stuff for this. Oh, hi, Sam. Oh, get over that cold. That sucks. Oh, thank you. And of course, the first thing I found was a bunch of my lingerie stuff because I needed to dig through, because I'm also wearing this bra that has like this turquoisey, tealy sheen about it that's a little bit green in one side of the light and a little bit blue in the other side of the light. Very pretty. And then the first thing my brain went was sexy Krampus photos. And my other brain went, oh, you know what you need? Another project. So, maybe next year. Next year when I have time. This year I don't have time. So, I'm sorry. Unless you want a Krampus in July, which would actually be fucking hilarious, because then you'd do like a mini Keeny Krampus. I'm smart. Okay. Yes! Krampus in a bikini! It'd be fucking funny. Krampus on vacation, and then I can wear these bad, like, werewolf nails that I also bought that I didn't put on. Because I'm already an hour late, so everything can go fuck itself. We're going to enjoy what we have when we have it, and everything's fine. Other than the fact that almost everything I've touched, I've either hit off a table, thrown somewhere by accident, dropped. There's a pin somewhere on my floor. Luckily, it's like a wig pin, so she's fairly big and chunky, and I'll find her before I step on her, hopefully. But she's lost in things. And I'll deal with that horror later. So just know, if people think, and by people, I'm literally only 2 of you have to tell me it's a good idea. And Freckles and Autumn already have exclamation points on the end of their sentences, so it's really all I need. Maybe I'll do Sexy Krampus in July, and it would be really goddamn funny. Crampy on vacation. Alright. Yeah, see? Validation. Alright. I'll write that down somewhere. I don't need to hear it. Alright, everyone remind me. My phone went off and I literally just moved it. What's happening? Fucking it was you, Freckles. What did you do? Wait for it to load. Pause for hilarity. Oh, me. Oh, yay. When would you like to be reminded? Oh, Autumn's made a note. Honestly, just message me, like, right now. If you message me right now, and then I'll remember, because I won't look at my messages until after stream, then I'll know to look at it, and then I'll actually write it down somewhere. I'll get, like, a little push pin, and I'll put it on the corkboard that's in my work shed. I'm very excited about that, too. Oh, I fucking hope so, Freckles. Challenge 100 different people. Remind me about Sexy Krampus Mommy in July. Okay. So, I've been looking through some stories. I've been looking through, like, a couple suggestions that I got. I've been trying to find the betterestest things that I could be doing for reading. And I'm just scrolling through my tabs right now to make sure everything is where I need it to be. And it is. I just saw a Twitter message pop up. I can only imagine. Okay. So, at the moment, I've got a tab open with more stories in it, so I'll be able to script a Rugrats Hanukkah. Alexa, if you can find me a web page for that, let's go. I'll fucking read it. I'm more than happy to. I forgot this was looped around my neck. Night, chair. Thank you for your boobs. Which is the best type of sentence to say to chair. Alright. So there are a couple real short ones that I got. And it was a... I could full... Sorry, my I went real dry there for a second. Okay, let me fuck through the frames here. I hit a dry spot. I just wanted mini-me to peek around me. Okay. Not that. Not that. Me. Give me me. Not stream frames. Give me me. 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 Anyway. That's probably the attention deficit that I still haven't gotten looked at. Okay. There's chat. There's me. Spit laughed on my computer. Methods, Krampus. It was just a singular dry spot in my throat and I found it. Drink with my tongue to protect my lipstick. Which is funny because it's on the top, not the bottom. Okay. Peeping Krampus. The Krampus gotta do a little peek. Make sure you're being a good little boy or girl or none or other. Okay. So these first few are really short, and I know last time I had like ambient spooky music. That's not happening this time because I didn't have the time to set it up, and we're already late starting. So I'll make it up to you later when we do like Easter reading, but I just read you Goosebumps for like 3 fucking hours. Okay. So one of the suggestions I got, I think it was from Nathan. I think it was Nathan who sent it to me on Twitter. Also that sugar. I was thinking those like ambient lo-fi copyright free songs. I'm sure there's plenty of Christmas versions we could scam from, but we'll leave it for now. It's okay. I think it was Nathan who was like, Gregorian chanting. Fuck. That would have been really good. Wanted AI written Christmas stories. And there were 2 small ones I found, and it was the whole, like, this bot got fed 1,000 hours of Hallmark movies, and it wrote this script. So I have a couple of them here. They're only, like, 2 fucking minutes long. But it's gonna be fun. Watch me press black line. So much lipstick on my lower lip. Okay. So guys, our first story of the night is the Christmas on Christmas. Interior, small town snow globe refillery. We see a single mother refilling snow globes with Christmas juice. She is widow. Her husband died in every war. Single mother says, I refill globes better than Jesus Claus, yet still my twins are dad-free. Why? They need double dad. Businessman enters the shop. He wears clothes that cost money. His hands are briefcases, and he's Hallmark hot. Single mother continued. Hi. Do your snow globes lack wet? Hurry. Christmas attacks soon. Businessman has flashback to when he was business boy. A Christmas tree explodes his family on purpose. He now hates trees and Christmas and explosions. He exits the flashback. Businessman says, Shut your sound! I am from huge city. I bought your land and am turning it into an oil resort. Single mother says, Rude behavior! This is a family business. I sell families. I am widow. My husband is now bones. Single mother points to her husband's bones in the corner of the room. They're all gift wrapped in eggnog. Let me get my husband. Oh, husband! Let me try to find them. Husband, where are your beautiful eyes? Husband. Husband, where have your eyes gone? Are your eyes also bones, gift wrapped in eggnog? There he is. Oh no, husband! Husband! Why do you keep throwing your eyeballs? Your eyeballs must stay in your head, husband. Alright, he's a little googly. No, husband, please! You must keep your precious eyeballs. You must keep them in your bones, husband. There he is. All of the wars took his eyes. Okay. Single mother points to her husband's bones in the corner of the room. They're all gift wrapped in eggnog. Businessman says, All of my wives are bones. That is America. But I must make money for my twins. You're a fucking embarrassment to the family. Go away. Okay. But I must make money for my twins to live. They are a prince. Single mother says, I too own twins. Please, don't have bought my land. Christmas is today. Businessman says, Laugh! I bought Christmas and now it is never. Unless we go on dates. Single mother says, I cannot date because of a snow curse. I pray Santa helps me. Santa cannot help. She did not know, but Santa was her husband. Santa is bones. Bones. Help nobody. That was the Christmas on Christmas. My eyes don't lack wet. Oh, husband. Why do you keep propelling your eyeballs from your cavity? You're not supposed to do that. Okay. Look in whatever direction you want. Who am I to stop you? Here. Watch stream with me. Watch the... Okay. Or your eyeballs can go in every direction. Let's do that instead. That's fine. Toss my hair over my shoulder like a continental soldier. Let's go! They're always a little loose. It's true, you really need to get the bolt, like the nut in behind the eyeball and just hold it while you put the eyeball back in place. It's a whole process to get your eyeballs back in. Just ask Shih Tzus. Okay. This is now Carol's Christmas Carol for Carol, a woman named Carol. Interior. Home in town where Christmas is strictly enforced. We see Carol, a woman whose hair is all bangs, sitting in her bedroom reading a wreath. Her grandma, an elder being, enters oldly. Grandma says, "Carol, it's almost Christmas. Will you be single on Christmas?" "I would not do that." Carol's grandma is never single on Christmas. She is famous for this and has won an award. Carol says, the gift of love is never under my tree. Grandma, what occurs if I do not celebrate Christmas this year? Will I be put in holiday jail?" Grandma says, "Yes, you'll speak no more crazy. Go to sleep and wake up in a relationship, or I will get even older." Grandma leaves through the grandma door. Carol prays. Carol says, "Please, Santa Claus, give me boyfriend that becomes man-husband." The prayer travels through the sky like it is Rudolph the red-nosed rainbow. It travels to the North Poland. We see Santa house. It is all chimney. Inside, Santa nogs a carton of eggs. The prayer enters his beard. Santa says, "Ho, ho! Carol asks to be unsingle. Is she good enough?" Santa checks the big list that lists good names and bad names. Carol is on the good list. Grinch is on the bad list. Santa says, "Ho, ho! She good, so I help. Elf 27, come here." We see Elf 27 building a toy shoe. It is on fire and horrible. Elf 27 is the most worst elf. He moves to Santa. Santa says, "Elf 27, I turn you human. You date Carol for Christmas. You come back here by midnight on Christmas." Elf 27 says, "An elf does what Santa screams." Santa says, "If you don't return, you turn into 3 ghosts of Christmas." Elf 27 says, "I can't be 3. I only have 1 clothes." Santa uses magic. Elf 27 now looks like a human man most human women would want to get to know a little. Santa says, I'm slowly trying to become Dumbledore instead of Santa. We've got a mix here, and as gay as Dumbledore is, and that's rad. Oh, the IP. Let me just start most of his sentence. "Oh, you are bad elf. Maybe you will be good human. Maybe no. Get in that." Santa points at a big present box. Elf 27 falls inside. Santa throws the box to Carol's house. This is not magic. This is Santa's strength from his milk addiction. Present box hits Carol's doorbell. She answers door. Carol says, "It snowed a box? Weather is odd." Elf 27 stands out of the box. Carol sees he is a man. He has teeth. He has shirt. So he is perfect. She falls inside love. Elf 27 says, "Carol, would you like to do dates?" They go on 12 dates of Christmas, ice cream, ice skate, ice museum, and 9 others. Now is Christmas, and almost noon o'clock of midnight. Carol and Elf 27 build a snowman in her house. Just teeth and shirt. Perfect man. A-okay. Great guy. Carol says, I have such happy... Please tell me your name. I've given her like 3 fucking voices at this point. Carol's lost it. Please tell me your name. Human 27. That is a name. I love you, Human 27. Will you stay with me forever? Yes, but I must leave now forever. No, if you leave, I will die, and my grandma will age. Do not go. Okay, I do not wish to bring death or time. A jingle bell rings, indicating it is midnight. The snowman turns into Santa. He is jolly with anger. Elf 27 turns into 3 Christmas ghosts in the usual way. Oh, you are a bad elf and a bad human. Time is up. Our snowman is loud and insane, Carol says. Elf 27 says, Carol, I am sorry. I am ghosts. Carol replies, do not be. Now I have 3 boyfriends. This is the best Christmas to ever Christmas. Carol kisses all 3 of the ghosts. Her lips are large because she switched them with the princess. We see Grandma is now dating Santa. She is never single on Christmas. Mrs. Claus must not know about this. Do not tell her. The end. Also makes me jolly with anger. On several occasions, I have been so joyful. I don't know what to do with the energy and have just flown into a mad rage. Oh, Cole with that tier 1 sub here for 13 months. Cole's been here since the beginning. For the first time in forever. It, Cole. Alright. Welcome, Cole, to the Crimim celebration. I am your Dommy Mommy Krampus, here with all of the hits. God. Let me save your holidays by getting revenge for you and those who have wronged you in or around any holiday, really. So, keep that information under your hat. Alright. And because we are in the midst of Christmas times, I keep looking at myself in the slobs that I put over that side, and I'm just like, look at these fucking Eugene Levy eyebrows. Ah, that makes me happy. And my little choppies honestly make me so fucking happy. I was meant to be a man. Alright. Or at least, like, a hairy person. But I'd like to be a dude. Alright. Freckles, I have a picture of me without the wig. I'm just me with my hair up, and I've got the brows and the makeup in my little, like, fawn nose, which I decided Krampus should have. And the chops, and honestly, it's a fucking baller look. And I fucking love it. I will post it later. But it genuinely brings me joy. It's super good. Now all I think I need are, like, magnetic eyelashes, because I don't want to do the ones you glue on, because I am Not big dick enough for that. But if I had the magnetic ones, I think that would be great, and it would be such a look to be like nice fuzzy little chops, but like sick eyelashes. I think that'd be fun. Alright. Move this Powerade I threw onto the floor earlier. Out of a jolly rage. Okay. So the sentence I didn't finish... Oh my god, hair. What kind of a Crimmim would it be without the Grinch? And we actually mentioned him in the last story, which is very convenient. So here's your natural segue. And me pointing it out only makes it more natural. Why don't we read The Grinch Who Stole Crimmim? And we're gonna have a fuck of a time reading all of these goddamn rhymes. Okay. Let's go. Let's fucking who this. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please, don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. Unless you watch the Jim Carrey version, in which case they make it pretty damn clear why, and honestly, I'm on his side. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's. Who are you? Who? That's actually the song that they sing down in Whoville. Staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a holly-who wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to keep Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, I know, all the Who girls and boys, and Nonce and others, will wake bright and early, and they'll rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, 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 noise. There's one thing I hate, all the noise, 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 noise. Honestly, lazy writing. And they'll shriek, squeaks, and squeals, racing round on their wheels. They'll dance jing-tanglers tied onto their heels. They'll blow their flu-fluvers. They'll bang their tartukas. They'll blow their hoo-hoopers. They'll bang their gardukas. They'll spin their trumtukas, they'll slam their slunkas, they'll beat their blumbloopas, they'll wham their hoo-wonkas, and they'll play noisy games like Zoo-Zita Karzay, a roller skate type of lacrosse and croquet, and then they'll make an ear-splitting noises galooks on their great big electro hoo-carnio flukes. Then the Who's young and then the Who's young and old will sit down to a feast, and they'll feast, and they'll feast, and they'll feast. They'll feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast. Raw roast beast is a feast I can't stand in the least. And then they'll do something I hate most of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, they'll stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'll stand hand in hand, and those Who's will start singing. And they'll sing, and they'll sing, and they'll sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. I'll make a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he took his dog Max, and he took some black thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head. And then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he whistled for Max. Then the Grinch said, Giddy up! And the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, no one knew he was there. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without a care when he came to the first little house of the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a minute or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings hung all in a row. These stockings, he grinched, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. Pop guns, pampugas, pantukas, and drums, checkerboards, bizzlebigs, popcorn, and plums. Go fuck yourself, Dr. Seuss. And he stuffed them in bags, and then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. Now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. As the Grinch took the tree, as he started to shove, he heard a small sound like the grrr of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. He stared at the Grinch. Trans Cindy. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, and he patted her head. He got her a drink, and then sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who was in bed with her cup, he crept to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, and the last thing he took was the log for their fire. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb so small, it's too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who's mouses. It was 1:15, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their snoof and their fuzzles, their tringles and trappings. 10,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchily humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's in Whoville will all cry, boo! That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. He paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded glad. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then the true meaning of Christmas came through, and the Grinch found the strength of 10 Grinches, plus 2. And now that his heart didn't quite feel so tight, he whizzed with his load in the bright morning light. With a smile to his soul, he descended Mount Crumpet, cheerily blowing "ho-ho" on his trumpet. He rode into Whoville. He brought back their toys. He brought back their floof to the Who girls and boys and nons and others. He brought back their snoof and their tringles and fuzzles, brought back the pantukas, their dafflers and wuzzles. He brought everything back, all the food for the feast, and he, himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Welcome, Christmas, bring your cheer, cheer to all Who's far and near. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to grasp. Christmas Day will always be, just as long as we have we. Welcome Christmas while we stand, heart to heart, hand in hand. Yay! Alright. Grinch! I like in the Jim Carrey version that it takes a traumatic event of a child almost dying for the Grinch to give a single flying fuck about Christmas. I mean, like, I know he started to have a little inkling of, like, oh, maybe this isn't great. But, like, this one is just, he heard them singing and thought Christmas is more than presents, and boom, new man. New man right there on that goddamn hill. Okay, well. I'm sure it's fine. The power of song. Fucking musicals. They ruin everything. A decent villain. Okay. I genuinely like the hair wrapped around the front. This is fun. Alright. I did find a small book. I think they said the author was Edward Gorey? Or maybe he was the illustrator. Let me look this up so I can give proper words. Book by John Updike. Of course it is. Edward Gorey is the illustrator. That's it. Okay. So good. These little dystopian people scribbles. This is absolutely who, God damn it. Why can't I remember the name of man who create, like, Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas? Why don't I remember his name? Tim Burton, thank you. No one will ever know why my brain tried to say Edward Norton created Nightmare Before Christmas. Y'all know. Before the Prestige and Hulk, when Edward Norton made The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then I was trying to call him Johnny Depp. Alright. On the set of Fight Club. It's what he did to keep himself sane. Okay, well. Now that that's happened, and I both regret it and think it's great. Edward Norton and Alien. Oh, Marty. Marty, don't bring this to me right now. Oh. Already had... Is Alexo still here? Alexo posed, like, a singular question to me. Yes, there's Alexo. Alexo posed a, like, singular situational question to me in Twitter DM. And I told Alexo this already. I wrote 2 pages of notes of, like, a side story based on that question because the question set off my brain and I had to just go or else it was gonna bug me all day. 2 fucking full pages of notes of what this scenario would consist of. And it goes along with the other Skullurday and Gotham and Pride. And if there was a Gotham Pride, what would happen? And it got so caught up in my head. And god damn it curses me to this day. And by that I mean it's been like 2 days. So, back to Corey and Updike. This is the 12 Terrors of Christmas. So y'all can enjoy this. And it's kind of like it's just like a list of the terrors of Christmas. So, we're gonna list all the things that are frightening about this holiday to balance out the good joys that we've got here. The first terror of Christmas, Santa the Man. Loose-fitting nylon beard, fake optical twinkle, cheap red suit. Funny, rummy smell when you sit on his lap. If he's such a big shot, why is he even drawing unemployment for 11 months of the year? Something scary and off-key about him. Like one of those Stephen King clowns. The second terror of Christmas, Santa the Concept. Why would anybody halfway normal want to live at the North Pole on a bunch of shifting ice floes? or stay up all night flying around the sky distributing presents to children of doubtful deservingness. There is a point where altruism becomes sick, or else a sinister cover-up for an international scam. A man of no plausible address with no apparent source for his considerable wealth comes down the chimney after midnight while decent, law-abiding citizens are snug in their beds. Is this not, at the least, cause for alarm? Oh, JJ, hello! And if by that you mean me, thank you. Okay. And if you don't mean me, wow. Rude. Alright. The third terror of Christmas. Santa's helpers. Again, what is really going on? Why did these purported elves submit to sweatshop conditions in what must be one of the gloomiest climates in the world, unless they are getting something out of it at our expense? Underclass masochism one day, bloody rebellion the next, the rat-a-tat-tat of tiny hammers may just be the beginning. The fourth terror of Christmas. O Tannenbaum. Suppose it topples over under its weight of bomb-shaped baubles. Suppose it harbors wood borers which will migrate to the furniture. There is something ghastly about a tree. Its look of many-limbed paralysis, its shaggy and conscienceless aplomb, encountered in the open, let alone in the living room. At night, you can hear it rustling and slurping water out of the bucket. The fifth terror of Christmas. Tiny reindeer. Hooves that cut through roof shingles like linoleum knives, unstable flight patterns suggesting to at least one observer dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, fur possibly laden with disease-bearing ticks. The sixth terror of Christmas. Electrocution. It's not just the frayed strings of lights anymore, or the corroded transformer of the plucky little Lionel. It's all those battery packs, those electronic games, those built-in dictionaries, those robots a-sizzle with artificial intelligence. Even the tinsel tingles this year. And isn't it somehow terrible, the way shed tinsel shivers in the gloomy, ice-clogged gutters? The seventh terror of Christmas. The carols. They boom and chime from the vaulted ceilings of supermarkets and discount malls, and yet the spirits keep sinking. Have our hearts grown so terribly heavy since childhood? What has happened to us? Why don't they ever play our favorites? What were our favorites? Tum-de-dum-tum, angels on high, something, something, sky. The eighth terror of Christmas. The specials. Was Charlie Brown's voice always so plaintive and grating? Did Bing Crosby always have that little pot belly and walk with his toes out? Wasn't that Danny Kaye, Fred Astaire, Jimmy Stewart, Grinch a card? Is Vera Ellen still alive? Isn't there something else on, like wrestling or Easter parade? The ninth terror of Christmas. Fear of not giving enough. leads to dizziness in shopping malls, foot fractures on speeded up escalators, thumb and wrist sprain in the course of package manipulation, eye and facial injuries in carton-crowded buses, and fluttering sensations of disorientation and imminent impoverishment. The 10th terror of Christmas: fear of not receiving enough. Leads to anxious scanning of UPS deliveries and to identity crises on Christmas morning as the piles of rumpled wrapping paper and emptied boxes mount higher around every chair but your own. 3 dull neckties and a pair of flannel-lined work gloves. Is this really how they see you? The 11th terror of Christmas: fear of returns. The embarrassments, the unseemingly haggling, the lost receipts, the allegation of damaged goods, the humiliating descent into mercantilism's boiler room. A fucking weird word to put in ism, because I want to say mercantile. Mercantilism? Ugh. Alright. The last terror of Christmas is the dark. Oh, how early it comes now. How creepy and green in the gills everyone looks, scrabbling along in drab winter wraps by the phosphorus light of department store windows full of styrofoam snow mock-up of fictitious 1890 and beige mannequins posed with false jauntiness in plaid bathrobes. Is this hell or just an upturn in consumer confidence? And guys, those are the 12 terrors of Christmas. On the 12th terror of Christmas, my true love gave to me the dark. Okay. Alright. I've got 3 prepared things left, although each one is a decent read. Be a few minutes for each. Although, one is like a whole ass novel, and I just started myself on one of the pages. So, one of them, and chat can yell out what you'd like to hear me go for next. The first one is The Christmas Goblins by Charles Dickens. The next one is The Christmas Krampus, because I looked it up on Creepypasta. And the next one is the script from, I shouldn't say really the script, is the book The Hog's Father by Terry Pratchett. So, we'll figure out what that's about. So guys, roll the dice. What do you want to hear first? Goblins, Krampus, or Hog's Father? Dickens so I can make cocoa. I'm just making faces now to pass the time. Okay, we have a couple Dickenses. Pig Daddy! Haha! Couple Pig Daddies, a couple Dickies. I keep looking at myself. This is a lot of fun. My eyebrows going a little wild underneath, though. There we go. Hell yeah. Alright, we need at least a tiebreaker. Who's willing to speak up amongst the crowd? Who is willing to be heard on this Christmas day? Who is willing to lend their voice to the cause Change to Dickens. Alright then. Let's get some dick. Get some dick so Freckles can get some cocoa. Alright. These is the goblins. I was told that I'd be able to do voices. Look at my titties. And my tattoo. Yay. I like this bra top. You can actually kind of see it. She's shiny. Let me just move my whole body. Shiny. My shiny tits that twinkle just like a Christmas tree. Short story sparkle. Yeah, sparkly. It's shiny sparkles. I love it. Twitch is gonna fucking ban us for that. Alright. Okay. The Christmas Goblins by Mr. Dickey. In an old abbey town, a long, long while ago, there officiated a sexton and gravedigger in the churchyard, one Gabriel Grubb. He was an ill-conditioned, cross-grained, surly fellow who consorted with nobody but himself in an old wicker bottle, which fitted into his large, deep waistcoat pocket. A little before... I'm looking at... 32 would be a bit much. It's like me when I'm 70. Yeah, we're not wrong. A little before twilight one Christmas Eve, Gabriel shouldered his spade, lighted his lantern, and betook himself toward the old churchyard, for he had a grave to finish by next morning, and feeling very low, he thought it might raise his spirits, perhaps, if he went on with his work at once. He strode along until he turned into the dark lane which led to the churchyard, a nice, gloomy, mournful place into which the townspeople did not care to go except in broad daylight. Consequently, he was not a little indignant to hear a young urchin roaring out some jolly song about a Merry Christmas. Gabriel waited until the boy came up, then rapped him over the head with his lantern 5 or 6 times to teach him to modulate his voice, and the boy hurried away, with his hand to his head. Gabriel Grubb chuckled to himself and entered the churchyard, locking the gate behind him. What a fucking Dickens! He took off his coat, put down his lantern, and getting into an unfinished grave, worked at it for an hour or so with right good will. But the earth was hardened with frost, and it was no easy matter to break it up and shovel it out. At any other time, this would have made Gabriel very miserable, but he was so pleased at having stopped the small boy singing that he took a little heed of the scanty progress he had made when he had finished work for the night, and looked down into his grave with grim satisfaction, murmuring as he gathered up his things. Trying to think of like an old... Brave lodgings for one, brave lodgings for one, a few feet of cold earth when life is done. Ho ho! He laughed as he set himself down on a flat tombstone, which was a favorite resting place of his, and drew forth his wicker bottle. A coffin at Christmas, a Christmas box! Ho ho ho!
Ho ho ho!
Repeated a voice close beside him. It was the echoes, said he, raising the bottle to his lips again. Sorry, it said a deep voice, and now I'm immediately trying to throw one out. That's not the one that I'm doing. It was not, said a deep voice. Gabriel started up and stood rooted to the spot with terror, for his eyes rested on a form that made his blood run cold. Seated on an upright tombstone, close to him was a strange, unearthly figure. He was sitting perfectly still, grinning at Gabriel Grubb with such a grin that only a goblin could call up.
What do you...
God damn it, I immediately lost it. Nope. Wow, that voice went in and out of my goddamn head.
What do you know? Is there still the man?
That's me putting a different accent on the man. Damn it, I can't do 2 deep voices. I only have one. Okay, let's keep trying. We'll keep trying. We're gonna push through. We're gonna do it. I'm trying to think of fucking... Make him a whittle sausage. I can't make him whittle sausage. He's got a deep voice. JJ! Let's make him whittle sausage. Okay. I'm gonna wear through this lipstick on my nose. I keep touching it. Bad habit. I can't not touch things. Alright. Deep voice whittle sausage. Let's go.
What you do here on Christmas Eve?
Said the goblin, sternly.
I came to dig a grave, sir.
I'm pretty sure I just switched the voices. Stammered Gabriel.
What man wanders among graves on such a night as this?
Cried the goblin.
Gabriel Grubb, Gabriel Grubb,
Screamed a wild chorus. Oh, God, a chorus. Oh, God, I should have... Why is... It should tell me what's doing first before it give me word.
Gabriel Grubb! Gabriel Grubb!
Screamed a crowd of screamed a wild chorus of voices that seemed to fill the churchyard.
What have you got in that bottle?
Said the goblin.
Holland, sir,
Replied the sexton, trembling more than ever, for he had bought it of the smugglers, and he thought his questioner might be an excise department of the goblins.
Who drinks Hollands alone and in a churchyard on a night such as this? Gabriel Grubb! Gabriel Grubb!
Exclaimed the wild voices again.
And who, then, is our lawful prize?
Exclaimed the goblin, raising his voice. The invisible chorus replied, Gabriel Grubb! Gabriel Grubb!
Well, Gabriel, what do you say to this?
Said the goblin as he grinned a broader grin than before. The sexton gasped for breath.
What do you think of this, Gabriel? It's me, Widow Sausage.
with a goblin dick. It's very curious, and very pretty,
replied the sexton, half dead with fright.
But I think I'll go back and finish my work, sir, if you please.
Work?
Said the goblin.
What work?
The grave, sir.
Oh, the grave, eh? Who makes grave at a time when other men are merry?
Some accent tried to get in there. I'm being haunted.
Who makes graves at a time when other men are merry and takes a pleasure in it?
Again the voices replied, Gabriel Grubb, Gabriel Grubb.
I'm afraid my friends want you, Gabriel,
said the goblin.
Under favor, sir,
replied the horror-stricken sexton.
I don't think they can. They don't know me, sir. I don't think the gentlemen have ever seen me.
Oh, yes they have. We know the man who struck the boy in the envious malice of his heart, because the boy could be merry, and he could not.
Here the goblin gave a loud, shrill laugh, which the echoes returned 20-fold.
I'm afraid I must leave you, sir,
said the sexton, making an effort to move.
Leave us,
said the goblin. As the goblin left, he suddenly darted towards Gabriel, laid his hand upon his collar, and sank with him through the earth. And when he had time to fetch his breath, he found himself in what appeared to be a large cavern, surrounded on all sides by goblins ugly and grim. Said the king of the goblins, seated in the center of the room on an elevated seat, his friend of the churchyard.
Show the men of misery and gloom a few of the pictures from our great storehouses.
As the goblin said this, a cloud rolled gradually away, and disclosed a small and scantily furnished but neat apartment. The children were gathered round a bright fire, clinging to their mother's gown or gambling round her chair. A frugal meal was spread upon the table, and an elbow chair was placed near the fire. Soon the father entered, and the children ran to meet him. As he sat down to his meal, the mother sat by his side, and all seemed happy and comfortable.
What do you think of that?
Said the goblin. Gabriel murmured something about it being very pretty.
Show him some more,
said the goblin. Many a time the cloud went and came, and many a lesson it taught to Gabriel Grubb. He saw that men who worked hard and earned their scanty bread were cheerful and happy, and he came to the conclusion it was a very respectable sort of world after all. No sooner had he formed it than the cloud closed over the last picture, seemed to settle onto his senses and lull him to repose. One of the goblins faded from his sight, and the last one disappeared. He sank to sleep. I feel like there's a word missing there, but the day had broken when he awoke and found himself lying on a flat gravestone, with the wicker bottle empty by his side. He got on his feet as well as he could, and brushing the frost off his coat, turned to face toward town. But he was an altered man, and he had learned lessons of gentleness and good nature by his strange adventures in the Goblin's Cavern. It is a weird thing, JJ, isn't it? You think the bitch wouldn't be gambling in front of the children. Okay. Don't drink and dig. And especially don't drink the juice you got from, like, weird fucking smugglers. Alright, the last time I found the dry spot in my throat. And now I found the one spot of wet. Okay. You know, Freckles, I don't think fucking Charlie Dickey really knows any other way to teach Christmas wet. Oh no! I had my snow globe wet refilled. Oh no.
Nah.
Okay. Oh, that's the first goblin prize I made. Found it. Alright. Now that we're through the little gobbly boys, do we want Terry Pratchett? Or do we want Krampapasta? Scary Krampus. Mythological figures drinking out of cups of straw should be the new cutesy meme. JJ, I'm 100% behind that. Alright. Sugar wants Pig Daddy. And, what do people feel? Do you want Crampy or do you want Pig Daddy? I'm constantly just... I'm looking at me because visually I think I'm interesting, but I'm also looking at me because the camera move and I'm a toddler and I can't not look at a thing that move. So, we all get over that. Watch me just check myself in the mirror for a hot second. Oh, I haven't entirely gotten rid of the eyeshadow. That's great. Oh my god, the fucking eyebrows. And my fucking choppers. Hell yeah. Bah, motherfucker. Okay. Krampus should be the finale? Absolutely. Almost, JJ. It's a competition now. I'm working on it. I'm growing them out. We'll get there. Okay. Got some Pig Daddy. So let's go Pig Daddy. Now, I'm on page 70 of 267 of The Hog's Father. For zero reason other than page 77 leads to somebody's favorite scene that I saw on a Reddit post. Because I was quickly trying to find what decent part of this I could read, and I'm sure all parts of it are decent, but I definitely wanted to find at least one part in there that is guaranteed, like, a good thing. Why not 69? I'll scroll back a page, Marty. I'll do it for the nice. Let's fucking do it. Page 69. And I don't know where I'm stopping in this either. Didn't read ahead in that. So, we're just gonna have fun. And read some fucking Hog's Father from Terry Pratchett, who is a supporter of the trans and gay communities, so eat it, dickwads on Twitter. Alright. Oh, yay! Yes! Freckle Mother approval!
Thank you. That's super nice. Yay.
Okay. Let me move here. Fun fact about this costume. I have a... Okay, wait 1 second. There we go. My scarf on, so I don't get cold. Capturing all those children and shoving them in a sack so I could beat them. Anyway. I wish it would just stay up, but I would need clips or magnets that keep it, like, back here. Because it has nothing to sit on. Krampus. Okay. My head feels very, like, if I had to describe it, George Clooney, Michael Keaton, Batman cowl. Because I feel like my whole body needs to be tied to my shoulder movement. With all of this going on. And now especially with Hood over everything. But Hood is so crampy. Everyone love a hooded crampy. I also have a Christmas hat. But I don't think if it'll fit over everything. Everyone listen to the Asmers. Squatch neck. Oh, Oh, this definitely ain't fitting on my fucking head with everything on it. The hat is so big and long. Oh my god, I didn't know the hat was that big and long. Oh my god, the hat. The hat. It is so long. Why is it's so long? I didn't know this. It did take a little blue pill. It's still in the Matrix. Can you drape it over a horn without messing it up? There is a possibility, JJ, if I can just find... Not quite. No, she don't quite work that way. Let me move my camera screen over here for a hot... Oh, I moved a thing. Oh no. Oh no! Stop. There we go. Okay, let me move this here. So I can kind of see things a little bit. And I never sit my head right either. I also kind of look like a Cats musical character, which is fun, I think. I don't know. Evangelical or whatever. Okay. Okay, wait. I physically need to like toss this over my head. My real hair, I need to fucking tuck it up and out of the way. Alright, that is... Oh, that lipstick off my lower lip. Nope. Nope. Head and everything too big. Everything too big. Oh no. You know what I needed? Something else. Like it can go... Oh no! No, my Christmas joy! No, my Christmas joy is gone! No! Fuck! Feck! Alright, well. Husband! Husband, come here. Husband, keep your eyeballs in your head. Let's tilt you back. Husband, no! Husband, I need to get you deeper eye pockets. Joyful rage. Husband, please join us. At least for a short while. For this last. Husband! Why must you lose your eyeballs so? As husband. The other one wants to go so bad. Oh my god, we can't see you, husband. No! Husband, your eyes! Oh, husband. We can't see you or your beautiful peepers. Wait till I find it. It's gonna immediately fall out. Wait. That's the Christmas card, kids. Alright, well. I do need to get magnets or something for husband's eyes, because he's not doing well. The kids are not alright. We're just gonna set husband over there. And I'll find his other eyeball later. Okay. Now that we've wasted time on that. Staring, yeah. He's a little bit just staring at my hand. It's okay. It's okay. Husband will understand. Husband does that a lot. He's got fetishes. I don't judge. Oh, this thing has become so askew. Oh my god. Alright. Some slave Leia Krampus looking stuff here. Okay. So that was the pin you hopefully won't step on. Maybe. Okay. Anyway, me playing with that. Alright. We are on page 69 of Terry Pratchett's The Pig Daddy. Hogfather. Watch me for an hour be distracted by my own visage. There we go. Look at the hair disappear again. Fix my eyebrows. Yeah, the reason the eyebrows had to be so big, A, is because I wanted a slightly hairier femme. But also, I did not want to put spirit gum in my eyebrows. Understandably. So I only applied it directly above. And then just filled in all the area with eyeshadow. So then hopefully it would create just a taller browski. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Ow. I found pins. It worked. It did. At least for, the visual gag of it, which is all you really want and or need. Yeah, that ends the pointy end. Where's the other end? Wait. Wait. We'll get to Pig Daddy. Wait. Scorsese? Excuse me? What did I do? Mr. Scorsese himself? I'm trapped. Guys, I'm trapped. Help. Oh, there we go. I'm not trapped. Okay, you should probably be able to see this. With the cam? Yeah. Okay, so this is the pin that I lost. Decently big. Has like a nice little grippy, almost like a staple here on one end. So I should be able to find her before I step on her. But that's only a should. Okay. Wig pins. Wig pins are business. Let's get rid of that. Ugh. Alright. Oh, Scorsese has brows. I don't know Mr. Scorsese enough to know his brows. But if you say so, I agree. Wholeheartedly. Yeah! Basically like the same two very similar pins that they use in dissection. I was actually really digging this. Okay. Sweet turtleneck. Page 69. Nice. Of the Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Trans rights. The song shut off suddenly, All Modo could hear was a ferocious gushing noise. Fucking page 69. Arch-Chancellor? After a moment, a voice answered from near the ceiling. It sounded somewhat high and hesitant.
I wonder if you would be so very good as to shut the water off from out there, my dear chap. Quite gently, if you wouldn't mind.
Modo carefully spun a wheel. The gushing sound gradually subsided.
Well done,
said the voice, but now from somewhere nearer floor level.
Well, jolly good job, Governor. Oi, Cricket, Crumpet. Oi, ya fucker.
Alright, there we go, there's the voice.
Well done,
said the voice, but now from somewhere nearer the floor level.
Well, jolly good job. I think we can definitely call it a success. Yes, indeed. I wonder if you could help me walk for a moment. I inexplicably feel a little unsteady on my feet.
Modo pushed open the door and helped Ridcully out and onto a bench. He looked rather pale. Yes, indeed, said the Arch-Chancellor, his eyes a little glazed. Astoundingly successful. Just a minor point, Modo. Oh god. Are there 3 voices here? Oh shit. Shit, who's who? Oh no! Everyone's gonna have all voice. Who's the Arch-Chan? Oh my god. Okay, well. Oh my god, is the high voice the Arch-Chancellor? Is Ridcully the Arch-Chancellor? What the? Who's who? Oh my god. Alright, this is confusing. No one gets a voice. Not until we figure this out. Except when I know who's who. Alright. 7 deep voices! Oh no! Yes, sir. I'm just gonna shuffle, it's fine.
There's a tap in there. We perhaps should leave alone for now,
said Ridcully.
I'd esteem it a service if you could go and make a little sign to hang on it.
Yes, sir.
Saying, do not touch it all, or something like that.
Right, sir.
Hang it on the one marked Old Faithful.
Yes, sir.
No need to mention it to the other fellows.
Yes, sir.
Ye gods! I've never felt so clean.
From a vantage point, among some ornamental tile work near the ceiling, a small gnome in a bowler hat watched Ridcully carefully. Ed, is that you? When Modo had gone, the Arch-Chancellor slowly began to dry himself on a big fluffy towel. As he got his composure back, so another song wormed its way under his breath.
On the 2nd day of Hog's Watch, I sent my true love back. A nasty little letter, huh? Yes, indeed. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Ridcully is the Chancellor. He is! Oh, fuck! Thank you, Sugar. The gnome slid down onto the tiles and crept up behind the briskly shaking shape. Ridcully, after a few more trial runs, settled on a song which evolved oh, he was singing the song. Shit! Alright, well, the Arch-Chancellor Ridcully has a deep singing voice. He's a baritone. Which evolves somewhere on every planet where there are winters. It's often dragooned into the service of some local religion, and a few words are changed, but it's really about things that have to do with gods only in the same way that roots have to do with the leaves.
The rising of the sun and the running of the deer.
Ridgely spun. A corner of wet towel caught the gnome on the ear and flicked it onto its back.
I saw you creeping up,
Roared the Arch-Chancellor.
What's the game then? Small-time thief, are you?
The gnome slid backward on the soapy surface.
Hey, what's your game, mister? You ain't supposed to be able to see me.
I'm a wizard. We can see things that are really...
Oh,
I'm a wizard. We can see things that are really there, you know.
said Ridgely.
And in the case of Bursa, things that aren't there too. What's in this bag?
You don't want to open the bag, mister. You really don't want to open the bag.
Why? What have you got in it?
The gnome sagged.
It ain't what's in it, mister. It's what'll come out. I has to let 'em out one at a time, not knowing what'd happen if they all gets out at once.
Ridgely looked interested and started to undo the string.
You really wish you hadn't, mister.
The gnome pleaded.
Will I? What are you going to do here?
Young man. The gnome gave up.
Well, you know the Tooth Fairy.
Yes, of course,
said Ridgely.
Well, I ain't her, but it's sort of like the same business.
What? You'll take things away?
Not take things away, as such. More sort of bring.
Oh, like new teeth?
Like new verrucas,
said the gnome. Death threw the sack into the back of the sleigh and climbed in after it.
Yeah.
Nope, same voice as somebody else.
You're doing well, master,
said Albert.
This cushion is still uncomfortable,
said Death, hitching his belt.
I am not used to a big fat stomach.
Albert's gonna have a normal voice, I can't remember all this. Just a stomach's the best thing I could do, master. You're starting off with a handicap sort of thing. Albert unscrewed the top of a bottle of cold tea. All the sherry had made him thirsty. Doing well, master, he repeated, taking a pull. All the soot in the fireplace, the footprints, them swigged sherries, the sleigh tracks all over the roofs. It's gotta work.
You think so?
Sure.
And I made sure some of them saw me. I know if they are peeping,
Death said proudly. Well done, sir.
Yes.
Oh, here's a tip, though. Just ho, ho, ho will do. Don't say, cower, brief mortals, unless you want them to grow up to be moneylenders or some such.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, you're really getting the hang of it. Albert looked down hurriedly at his notebook so that Death wouldn't see his face. And now I gotta tell you, master, what'll really do some good is a public appearance. Really.
Oh, I don't normally do them.
The Hawksfather's more of a public figure, master, and one good public appearance will do more good than any amount of letting kids see you by accident. Good for the old belief muscles.
Really? Ho, ho, ho.
Right. That's really good, Master. Where was I? Yeah. The shops will be open late. Lots of kiddies get taken to see the Hogfather, you see. Not the real one, of course. Just some old geezer with a pillow up his jumper, saving your presence, Master.
Not real. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, no. And you don't need to.
The children know this. Ho, ho, ho.
Albert scratched his nose. Suppose so, Master.
This should not be. No wonder there has been this difficulty. Belief was compromised. Ho, ho, ho.
Could be, Master. The ho.
Where does this travesty take place? Ho, ho, ho.
Albert gave up. Well, the Crumleys in the mall, for one. Very popular. The Hogfather Grotto. They always have a good Hogfather, apparently.
Let's get there and slay them. Ho, ho, ho.
Right you are, Master.
That was a pun. Or play on words, Albert. I don't know if you noticed.
I'm laughing like hell deep down, sir.
Ho, ho, ho.
Our Chancellor Ridcully grinned. He often grinned. He was one of those men who grinned, even when they were annoyed. But right now, he grinned because he was proud. A little sore still, perhaps, but still proud.
Amazing bathroom, ain't it?
He said.
They had it walled up, you know. A damn silly thing to do. I mean, perhaps there were a few teething troubles,
He shifted gingerly.
but that's something to be expected. It's got everything, do you see? Footbaths in the shape of clamshells, look. A whole wardrobe for your dressing gowns. And that tub over there's got a big blower thingy, so you get bubbly water without even having to eat starchy food. And this thingy here, with the mermaids holding it up's a special pot for your toenail clippings. It's got everything.
Goddamn, another one. A special pot for nail clippings, said Veruca Gnome.
Oh, can't be too careful,
Said Ridcully, lifting the lid of an ornate jar marked bath salts and pulling out a bottle of wine.
Get hold of something like someone's nail clippings and you've got them under your control. That's real old magic, dawn of time stuff.
He held the wine bottle up to the light.
Should be cool nicely by now.
He said, extracting the cork.
Verucas, eh?
I wish my brain processed and held information for more than like 2 sentences. Wish I knew why, said the gnome.
You mean you don't know?
Nope. Suddenly I wake up and I'm the Veruca Gnome,
Puzzling that.
said Ridcully.
My dad used to say the Veruca gnome turned up if you walked around in bare feet, but I never knew you existed. I thought he just made it up. I mean, tooth fairies, yes, and them little buggers that live in flowers. Used to collect them myself as a lad, but can't recall anything about Verucas.
He drank thoughtfully.
Got a distant cousin named called Veruca, as a matter of fact. It's quite a nice sound when you come to think of it.
Almost, I'm trying to go into like an Irish of some sort. He looked at the gnome over top his glass. Trying to look at this line. It's read as narration. And some of them do and some of them don't. You didn't become Arch-Chancellor without a feeling for the subtle wrongness in a situation. Well, that wasn't quite true. It was more accurate to say that you didn't remain Arch-Chancellor for very long.
Good job, isn't it?
He said thoughtfully. Dandruff be better, said the gnome. At least I'd be out in the fresh air.
I think we better check up on this,
said Ridgely.
Of course, it might be nothing.
Oh, thank you, said the Veruca gnome gloomily. It was a magnificent grotto this year, Vernon Crumley told himself. The staff had worked really hard. The Hogfather's sleigh was a work of art in itself, and the pigs looked really real and a wonderful shade of pink. The grotto took up nearly all of the first floor. One of the pixies had been disciplined for smoking behind the magic tinkling waterfall, and the clockwork dolls of all nations showing how we could all get along were a bit jerky and giving trouble, but all in all, he told himself, it was a display to delight the hearts of kiddies everywhere. The kiddies were queuing up with their parents, watching the display owlishly. And the money was coming in. Oh, how the money was coming in. So that the staff would not be tempted, Mr. Crumley had set up an arrangement of overhead wires across the ceilings of the store. In the middle of each floor was a cashier in a little cage. Staff took money from customers, put it in a little clockwork cable car, sending it whizzing overhead to the cashier, who'd make change and start it rattling back again. Thus, there was no possibility of temptation, and the little trolleys were shooting back and forth like fireworks. Mr. Crumley loved Hogswatch. It was for the kiddies, after all. He tucked his fingers into the pockets of his waistcoat and beamed. Gotta fucking think now, because we're like 8 voices in. Oh my god, there's like 3 of them. Son of a cunt. Alright, let's fucking go. Challenge taken. Actually, that's an option.
Everything going well, Miss Harding?
Yes, Mr. Crumley,
said the cashier meekly.
Jolly good.
He looked at the pile of coins. A bright little zigzag crackled off them and earthed itself on the metal grill. Mr. Crumley blinked. In front of him, sparks flashed off the steel rims of Miss Harding's spectacles. The grotto display changed. For just a fraction of a second, Mr. Crumley had the sensation of speed, as though what appeared had screeched to a halt. It was ridiculous. The 4 pink papier-mâché pigs exploded. A cardboard snout bounced off Crumley's head. There, sweating and grunting in the place where the little piggies had been, were, well, he assumed they were pigs, because hippopotamuses didn't have pointy ears and rings through their noses. But the creatures were huge and gray and bristly, and a cloud of acrid mist hung over each one. They didn't look sweet. There was nothing charming about them. One turned to look at him with small red eyes and didn't go oink, which was the sound that Mr. Crumley, born and raised in the city, had always associated with pigs. It went The sleigh had changed too. He'd been very pleased with that sleigh. It had delicate silver curly bits on it. He'd personally supervised the gluing on of every twinkling star, but the splendor of it was lying in glittering shards around the sleigh that looked as though it had been built of crudely sawn tree trunks laid on 2 massive wood runners. It looked ancient, and there were faces carved on the wood, nasty, crude, grinning faces that looked quite out of place. Parents were yelling and trying to pull their children away, but they weren't having much luck. The children were gravitating toward it like flies to jam. Mr. Crumley ran toward the terrible thing, waving his hands.
"Stop that! Stop that!" he screamed. "You'll frighten the kiddies!"
He heard a small boy behind him say,
They got tusks. Cool.
his sister said,
Hey, look, that one's doing a wee.
a tremendous cloud of yellow steam arose.
Look, it's going all the way to the stairs. All those who can't swim, hold on to the banisters.
They eat you if you're bad, you know, said a small girl with obvious approval.
All up, even the bones, they crunch 'em.
Another, older child opined, Don't be childish, they're not real. They've just got a wizard in to do the magic, or it's all done by clockwork. Everyone knows they're not really. One of the boars turned to look at him. The boy moved behind his mother. Mr. Crumley, tears of anger, there's that jolly rage again, streaming down his face, fought through the milling crowd until he reached the Hogfather's grotto. He grabbed a frightened pixie.
"It's the campaign for equal heights. They've done this, isn't it?" he shouted. "They're out to ruin me, and they're ruining it all for the kiddies. Look at the lovely dolls."
The pixie hesitated. Children were clustering around the pigs, despite the continued efforts of their mothers. The small girl was giving one of them an orange. But the animated display of dolls of all nations was definitely in trouble. The musical box underneath was still playing Wouldn't It Be Nice If Everyone Was Nice? But the rods that animated the figures had got twisted out of shape, so that the Klatchian boy was rhythmically hitting the Omnian girl over the head with his ceremonial spear, while the girl in a Gatian national costume was kicking a small Limidosian druid repeatedly in the ear. A chorus of small children was cheering them on indiscriminately.
There's more trouble in the grotto, Mr. Crump,
the pixie began. A red and white figure pushed its way through the crush and rammed a false beard into Mr. Crumley's hands.
That's it,
said the old man in the Hogfather costume.
I don't mind the smell of oranges and the damp trousers, but I ain't putting up with this.
He stamped off through the queue. Mr. Crumley heard him add,
And he's not even doing it right.
Mr. Crumley forced his way onward. Someone was sitting in the big chair, and there was a child on his knee. The figure was strange. It was definitely in something like a Hogfather costume, but Mr. Crumley's eyes kept slipping. It wouldn't focus. It skittered away and tried to put the figure on the very edge of his vision. It was like trying to look at your own ear.
"What's going on here? What's going on here?"
Crumley demanded. A hand took his shoulder firmly. He turned round and looked into the face of a grotto pixie. At least it was wearing the costume of a grotto pixie, although somewhat askew, as if it had been put on in a hurry.
"Who are you?"
The pixie took a soggy cigarette out of its mouth and leered at him.
"Call me Uncle Heavy," he said. "You're not a pixie."
Nah, I'm a fairy cobbler, mister. Behind Crumley, a voice said,
"And what do you want for Hogswatch, small human?"
Mr. Crumley turned in horror. In front of, well, he had to think of it as the usurping Hogfather, was a small child of indeterminate sex who seemed to be mostly woolen bobble hat. Mr. Crumley knew how it was supposed to go. It was supposed to go like this. The child was always dumbstruck, and the attendant mother would lean forward and catch the Hogfather's eye and say very pointedly, in that voice adults use when they're conspiring against children, "You want a baby Tinkler doll, don't you, Doreen? And just like Mummy cookery set you've got in the window. And the cutout kitchen range book. And what do you say?" And the stunned child would murmur,
Thank you.
and get given a balloon or an orange. This time, though, it didn't work like that. Mother got as far as, "You want to
lay your hands on bits of string, child."
The child looked down the length of its arms at the dangling mittens affixed to its sleeves. It held them up for inspection.
Gloves.
It said,
"I see. Very practical."
Are you Will? Ooh, Will.
This fucking child is uwu.
Are you Will?
Said the bobble hat.
"What do you think?"
The bobble hat sniggered.
I saw your piggy do a wee.
It said, and implicit in the tone was the suggestion that this was unlikely to be dethroned as the most enthralling thing the bobble hat had ever seen.
"Oh, good.
It had a great big...
What do you want for Hog's Watch?"
Said the hog father hurriedly. I'm really trying to give him the fucking college humor Batman voice. That's what I want my death hog's father to be. Mother took her economic cue again and briskly said, "She wants." Hog father snapped his fingers impatiently. The mother's mouth slammed shut. The child seemed to sense that here was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and spoke quickly.
I want an army. And a big castle with pointy bits,
Said the child.
and a sword.
"What do you say?"
Prompted the hog father.
A big sword?
Said the child after a pause for deep cogitation.
"That's right."
Uncle Heavy nudged the hog father. "They're supposed to thank you," he said.
"Are you sure? People don't normally."
I mean, I meant they thank the hog father. Oh my god, Uncle Heavy is Albert. I'm glad I can reasonably match these voices then. I'm learning so much.
Where's Scarecrow? What did you do with Harvey Face?
They're supposed to thank you.
Are you sure? People don't normally.
I meant they thank the hog father, Albert hissed, which is you, right?
Yes, of course. You're supposed to say thank you.
Thank you.
And be good. This is part of the arrangement.
Yes.
Then we have a contract.
The hog father reached into his sack and produced a very large model castle with, as correctly interpreted, pointy blue cone roofs on turrets suitable for princesses to be locked in, a box of several hundred assorted knights and warriors, and a sword. It was 4 feet long and glinted along the blade. The mother took a deep breath. "You can't give her that!" she screamed. "It's not safe!"
It's a sword,
said the hog father.
They're not meant to be safe.
She's a child!
It's educational.
What if she cuts herself?
That will be an important lesson.
Uncle Heavy whispered urgently.
Really? Oh well. It's not for me to argue, I suppose.
The blade went wooden. And she doesn't want all that other stuff, said Doreen's mother in the face of previous testimony. She's a girl. Anyway, I can't afford big posh stuff like that.
I thought I gave it away,
said the hog father, sounding bewildered. You do? Said the mother.
You do?
Said Crumley, who had been listening in horror.
You don't! That's our merchandise. You can't give it away. Hogswatch isn't about giving it all away. I mean, yes, of course. Of course things are given away.
He corrected himself, aware that people were watching.
But first they have to be bought, do you see? I mean...
He laughed nervously, increasingly aware of the strangeness around him and the rangy look of Uncle Heavy.
It's not as though the toys are made by little elves at the hub.
Damn right, said Uncle Heavy sagely. You'd have to be a maniac even to think of giving an elf a chisel, less'n you want their initials carved on your forehead. You mean this is all free, said Doreen's mother sharply, not to be budged from what she saw as a central point. Mr. Crumley looked helplessly at the toys. They certainly didn't look like any of his stock. Then he tried to look hard at the new Hogfather. Every cell in his brain was telling him that here was a fat, jolly man in a red and white suit. Well, nearly every cell. A few of the sparkier ones were saying that his eyes were reporting something else, but they couldn't agree on what. A couple had shut down completely. The words escaped through his teeth.
It seems to be, he said.
Although it was Hogswatch, the university buildings were bustling. Wizards didn't go to bed early in any case. And, of course, there was the Hogswatch night feast to look forward to at midnight. It would give some idea of the scale of the Hogswatch night feast that a light snack at the UU consisted of a mere 3 or 4 courses, not counting the cheese and nuts. Some of the wizards had been practicing for weeks. The dean, in particular, could now lift a 20-pound turkey on one fork, having to wait until midnight merely to put a healthy edge on appetites already professionally honed. There was a general air of pleasant expectancy about the place, a general sizzling of salivary glands, and a general careful assembling of the pills and powders against the time. Many hours ahead, when 18 courses would gang up somewhere below the rib cage and mount a counterattack. Ridgely stepped out into the snow and turned up his collar. The lights were all on in the high-energy magic building.
I don't know,
He muttered.
Hogswatch night, and they're still working. It's just not natural. When I was a student, I'd have been sick twice by now.
In fact, Ponder Stibbins and his group of research students had made a concession to Hogwatch night. They draped holly over Hex and put a paper hat on the big glass dome containing the main ant heap. Every time he came in here, it seemed to be wrinkly. Something more had been done to the engine, or thinking machine, or whatever it was. Sometimes stuff turned up overnight. Occasionally, according to Stibbins, Hex itself would draw plans for extra bits that it needed. It all gave Ridley the willies, and additionally, Willie was engendered right now, and he saw the bursar sitting in the front of the thing. For a moment, he forgot all about the verrucas.
What are you doing up here, old chap?
He said.
You should be inside, jumping up and down to make more room for tonight.
Hooray for the pink, grey and green, said the bursar.
We thought Hex might be, help, sir,
said Ponder Stibbins, who liked to think of himself as the university's token sane person.
With Bursar's problem, we thought it might be a nice Hogswatch present for him. Ye gods! Bursar's got no problems,
said Ridcully, and patted the aimlessly smiling man on the head while mouthing the words,
mad as a spoon. Mind just wanders a bit, that's all. I said mind wanders a bit, eh? Only to be expected, spends far too much time adding up numbers. Doesn't get out in the fresh air. I said you don't get out in the fresh air, old chap. We thought, he might like someone to talk to,
said Ponder.
What? What? But I talk to him all the time. I'm always trying to take him out of himself,
said Ridgely.
It's important to stop him moping about the place. Yes, certainly,
said Ponder diplomatically. He recalled the bursar as a man whose idea of an exciting time had once been a soft-boiled egg.
So, well, let's give it another try, shall we? Are you ready, Mr. Dinwiddie?
Oh, God, is Mr. Dinwiddie the bursar? There's like 18 fucking names, and I'm trying to figure out who's who and what voices am I doing. God damn. I'm just gonna give him bursar's voice. We're just doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Got it wrong.
A good one with cinnamon if it's not too much trouble.
Oh my God, if we just make him sound like Homestar Runner, it's fine. Oh, Strife, no!
Yes, thank you. A green one with cinnamon if it's not too much trouble. Can't see how it talked to a machine,
said Ridgely in a sullen voice.
The thing's got no damn ears. Well, in fact, we made it one ear,
said Ponder.
Isn't
He pointed to a large drum in a maze of tubes.
that old Windlepoon's ear trumpet sticking out at the end?
Said Ridgely suspiciously.
Yes, Arch-Chancellor.
Ponder cleared his throat.
Sound, you see, comes in waves.
He stopped. Wizardly premonitions rose in his mind. He just knew Ridgely was going to assume he was talking about the sea. There was going to be one of those huge, bottomless misunderstandings that always occurred whenever anyone tried to explain anything to the Arch-Chancellor. Words like surf and probably ice cream and sand were just...
It's all done by magic, Arch-Chancellor,
he said, giving up.
Ah, right,
said Ridgely. He sounded a little disappointed.
None of that complicated business with springs and cogwheels and tubes and stuff, then. That's right, sir,
said Ponder.
Just magic. Sufficiently advanced magic. Fair enough. What's it do?
Hex can hear what you say.
Interesting. Saves all that punching holes in bits of cards and hitting keys you lads are forever doing then. Watch this, sir,
said Ponder.
All right, Adrian. Initialize the GBL. How do you do that then?
Said Ridgely behind him.
It means pull the great and big lever,
Ponder said reluctantly.
Ah, takes less time to say.
Ponder sighed.
Yes, that's right, Arch-Chancellor.
He nodded to one of the students, who pulled a large red lever marked, "Do not pull." Gears spun somewhere inside Hex. Little trapdoors opened in the ant farms, and millions of ants began to scurry along the networks of glass tubing. Ponder tapped at the huge wooden keyboard.
Beats me how you fellows remember how to do all this stuff,
said Ridgely, still watching him with what Ponder considered to be amused interest.
Oh, it's largely intuitive, Arch-Chancellor,
said Ponder.
Obviously, you have to spend a lot of time learning it first, though. Now then, Bursar,
he added,
if you'd just like to say something. He says, say something, Bursar!
Yelled Ridgely helpfully into the Bursar's ear. Corkscrew. Fuck.
Corkscrew? It's a tickler. That's what Naya says,
said Bursar. Things started to spin inside Hex. At the back of the room, a huge converted water wheel covered with sheep skulls began to turn ponderously. And the quill pen in its network of springs and guided arms started to write. Why do you think you are a tickler? For a moment, the bursar hesitated, and I wonder if I can do that in like a... Alright, let's try this again. And the quill pen, in its network of springs and guided arms, started to write. Why do you think you are a tickler? For the moment, the bursar hesitated, and then he said, I've got a spoon of my own, you know. Tell me about your spoon. It's a little spoon. Does your spoon worry you? The bursar frowned. Then he seemed to rally. Oops, there comes Mr. Jelly, he said, but he didn't sound as though his heart was in it. How long have you been, Mr. Jelly? The bursar glared. Are you making fun of me? He said.
Amazing,
said Ridgely.
It's got 'em stamped. It's better than dried frog pills. How'd you work it out?
Said Ponder. Just so it happened.
Amazing,
said Ridgely. He knocked the ashes out of his pipe on Hex's anthill inside sticker, causing Ponder to wince.
This thing's a kind of big artificial brain then.
You could think of it like that, said Ponder, carefully. Of course, Hex doesn't actually think. Not as much. I'm losing Ponder. It just appears to be thinking. I'm slowly becoming a beetle.
Like the Dane,
said Ridgely.
Any chance of fitting a brain like this into the Dane's head?
It does weigh 10 tons, Arch-Chancellor.
Ah,
I'm slowly becoming Ringo. I'm very slowly drifting down into Ringo. Well, if it happens, it happens.
really? Oh, quite a large crowbar would be in order then.
He paused and then reached into his pocket.
I knew I'd come here for something.
He added,
This here chappie is the Veruca Gnome.
Hello. The Veruca Gnome said the Veruca Gnome shyly.
It seems to have popped into existence to be with us tonight. And, you know, I thought,
This is a bit odd.
of course, there's always something a bit unreal about Hog's watch night.
Said Ridgely.
Last night of the year and so on. The Hog Father whizzing around and so forth. Time of the darkest shadows and so on. All the old year cult rubbish piling up. Anything could happen. I just thought you fellows might check up on this. Probably nothing to worry about.
A Veruca Gnome, said Ponder. The gnome clutched his sack protectively.
Makes about as much sense as a lot of things, I suppose.
Said Ridgely.
After all, there's a tooth fairy. Ain't there? You might as well wonder why we have a god of wine and not a god of hangovers.
He stopped, slowly becoming Irish.
Anyone else hear that noise just then?
He said. Sorry, Arch-Chancellor?
Sort of gling ling 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 lingle. Like little tinkly bells.
Didn't hear anything like that, sir. I'm just making up voices at this point.
Oh,
Ridgely shrugged.
anyway, what was I saying? Yes, no one's ever heard of the Veruca Gnome until tonight.
That's right, said the gnome. Even I've never heard of me until tonight, and I'm me. Well, we'll see what we can find out, Arch-Chancellor, said Ponder diplomatically.
Good man.
Ridgely put the gnome back in his pocket and looked up at Hex.
Amazing. He just looks as though he's thinking, right?
Yes.
Like he's not actually thinking.
No.
So, he just gives the impression of thinking, but really it's just a show.
Yeah,
Just like everything else then, really.
said Ridgely. The boy gave the hog... Oh, we're back to the Hogfather. All right, let us finish this section with the Hogfather. And we will move on to our last story with the Krampy. And then that should wrap up the night, because all of the paragraphs in this, I get confused about where the scenes are transitioning because they're all just like a single spaced line in between each of them. There is no like double space or indentation to tell you when you've jumped a scene. So very quickly we're going between characters and scenes, and I'm just trying to keep this shit together. Hold on for the creepypasta. We're gonna get there, I promise. My hair is stuck on my kink hook. There we go. Okay. Alright, let's go. The boy gave the hog father an appraising stare as he sat down on the official knee. Let's be absolutely clear. I know you're just someone dressed up, he said. The hog father is a biological and temporal impossibility. I hope we understand one another.
Ah, so I don't exist.
Correct. And this is just a bit of seasonal frippery, and I may say rampantly commercial. My mother's already bought my presents. I instructed her as to the right ones, of course. She often gets things wrong. The hogfather glanced briefly at the smiling, worried image of maternal ineffectiveness hovering nearby.
How old are you, boy?
The child rolls his eyes. You're not supposed to say that, he said. I have done this before. You know, you have to start by asking me my name.
Aaron Fidget, The Pines, Edgeway Road, Unc Morepork.
I expect someone told you, said Aaron. I expect these people dressed up as pixies get the information from the mothers.
And you are 8, going on, about 45,
said the hogfather. There's forms to fill in when they pay, I expect, said Aaron.
And you want walnuts, inoffensive reptiles of the Stowe Plains, a display cabinet, a collector's album, a killing jar, and a lizard press. What is a lizard press?
You can't glue them in when they're still fat, or didn't you know that? I expect she told you about them when I was momentarily distracted by the display of pencils. Look, shall we end this charade? Just give me my orange and we'll say no more about it.
I can give far more than oranges.
Yeah, I saw all that. Probably done in collusion with accomplices to attract gullible customers. Oh, dear. You've even got a false beard. By the way, old chap, did you know that your pig...
Yes.
All done by mirrors and string and pipes, I expect. It all looked very artificial to me. The hogfather snapped his fingers. That's probably a signal, I expect, said the boy, getting down. Thank you very much.
Happy Hog's Watch,
said the hogfather as the boy walked away. Uncle Heavy patted him on the shoulder. Well done, master, he said. Very patient. I'd have given him a clonk athwart the ear hole myself.
Oh, I'm sure he'll see the error of his ways.
My horn. The red hood turned so that only Albert could see into its depths.
Right around the time he opens those boxes his mother was carrying. Ho, ho, ho.
Don't tie it so tight. Don't tie it so tight.
Squeak.
There was a bickering behind Susan as she sought along the shelves in the canyons of Death's huge oh, this is something different. Is it? It is. Okay, so Hogfather cursing the child. That was the end of this scene. Well, there you go. Fun! Lizard Press is where I get all my lizard news. All of your good lizard-based news is in the Lizard Press. Although the Killing Jar, hard to say what could go on there. How you doing, Marcus? I'm just playing with this hair. There's so goddamn much of it. It's all heavy fucking braids, and it's only braided like this because of the hairspray that it came with, and I don't have like the wig shampoo and conditioner and everything, so every time you move it, it was like my hair before I cut it. Every time you moved it, it knotted, so I had to go through the entire thing. And I just have it braided in the back here. And then the braids are all tied together. I can move. There we go. Look at all that. Tied together so that they stay as nice as possible. And they don't get all fucked up. Before I can hairspray them again myself. And make Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta spikes. And one day I will look like him. So there you go. Lady Krampus, take me to hell. Will do, Marcus. Will do. And you have your choice of either a spanking or a lashing. So we love options. A good business offers options. Is it machine washable? I'm sure in some circles, you could probably do the same with a wig as you do with, like, bras and other, like, more delicate things, where you put them in, like, a washing specific, like, mesh bag, and then put them in the wash so that they don't get physically damaged. But I don't want to try. Every time I get a wig, it costs money. And I don't want to put something that costs money through something I haven't done before that could potentially, like, pull things apart. So I'm just going to get eventually one day like the actual wig shampoos and everything and just do it by hand. Unless I get like a cheaper nothing wig or like extensions or something that I can play with first and then see what kind of are the best settings and everything. But yeah, until that day, either we'll just deal with it or we'll do everything by hand, because treat like hair, treat like hair. Rocky, hello. You've missed several stories. It's really all you've missed. You've missed some story times. You've missed the 12 Terrors of Christmas. You missed the Grinch. Missed the Christmas Goblins and some Terry Pratchett. I think we read a couple of the short AI written Christmas things. But you're just in time if you're hanging around for our last story. A creepypasta. A spooky spaghetti called the Christmas Krampus. Me. Mommy Krampus. Creepy Cramp. Do you like Lego? Yeah, Mommy Krampus, as demanded by the people, is here to read you some Christmas stories. As displayed with my lovely horns, although I ditched my fake little cloak that I had earlier because it was, like this wig, unruly. And I was just losing it every time I moved, so... And it's warm. Time for Krampy. And his good habit of beating the bad little boys and girls. And kidnapping them. And if any of you little bad boys and girls need a good kidnapping, get ready. I love hooking anything on my finger and just like twirling it around, and I don't want to do it right now because I know I'm gonna slap myself in the goddamn face. As funny as that would be, no. So I've been really naughty. Absolutely. I will take your ass wherever you'd like me to, Freckles. Anywhere, anytime. Let's go. You, me, and these sick-ass mutton chops. Alright. This is the Christmas Krampus. A spooky spaghetti to end our Christmas readings. Let's go. Here is your... your introduction at the top of the spooky spaghetti. Every year around the Christmas holiday, magical things always seem to happen. Some things are marvelous and joyful, like visits from Santa or a snowman coming alive, which I have things to say about those fucking kids and Frosty if I may cut into this reading a little bit, and I will because it's my reading. Can I say, I think those children that brought Frosty to life, A, are some sort of like spirit-raising necromancers, but also they're fucking tiny little thieves. Like the song says, there must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found. Where in the actual living fuck are you just gonna find a silk hat laying around? No, you don't find silk hats just out and about. No one leaves their good silk hat somewhere. And yes, in the winter. Who the fuck has their good, I'm assuming good, because it's a fucking silk hat. And every time you see it on Frosty, it's like a full-ass top hat. No one. Unless it's got holes in it, it's one of them old, like, hobo top hats where the, like, full head top of it is flipped up like a tin can and you're missing chunks out of the brim. But Frosty is never seen with a tattered, shitty old hat. It's always like a new silk hat, top hat dealio. So these children, clearly, obviously, fucking stole this hat. Either in general or from their parents and put it on Frosty. And if it's from a store, clearly it's from like some old antique store that's haunted. The hat is haunted. The store could also be haunted. I have not gotten that far into the lore. But all the hat's an SCP. That I believe. Or their parents are some sort of magician, wizard, warlock who have enchanted this hat, and these kids are like, and just stole it and slapped it on a snowman. Anyway. Creepy Krampus to canceling necromancing children pipeline. You never see Oswald leave his good hat! Marty, you are 1,000% right. Oswald would never leave a good fucking hat. He would run that hat into the ground until it had bullet holes and was lost to time and space. Alright, getting off the fucking thieving frosty children. Many people say they can feel the Christmas magic in the air or around them. Some things aren't so joyful. Around Christmas every year, kidnappings, murder, and suicide rates go up drastically as well. Even when horrid things like this happen, people often feel, yet rarely do they admit, that they still feel a kind of holiday magic behind it, although it be a dark magic. One example comes from a Christmas demon known as the Krampus. The Krampus is well known in countries like Germany and Switzerland for taking naughty children in the dead of the Christmas Eve night. And here is one such account. December 6th, 2013. My name is Eli Rockford. I'm currently 7 years old as I write. What fucking 7-year-old says I am currently? Go eat a dick. I confide in this journal something I can't tell my family because they would never believe me. I am often told that I am very smart for my age because I say and do things that most kids my age don't. But if I tell a strange story, no matter how hard I get them to believe me, my parents and siblings just say it's my imagination. Today I looked out my window into the street by our house and I saw a man who looked like a shadow with horns. His eyes glowed orange and seeing him scared me a lot. He was ringing a bunch of bells for something, but I just tried to ignore him and sleep. Then I heard a knock on the door, and I went down to see who it was for Mommy and Daddy, but when I got to the door, someone stuck a card through our mail slot and ran off really quickly. The card had a picture of a monster who had bull legs and a tail, and horns on a scary-looking goat head that looked half human. I was so scared that it was the thing on the street, but I didn't know what to do. I think I know what it is, but I hope I'm wrong. I showed the card to my dad, and he said it was Krampus. The bottom of the card said, Gross von Krampus. Daddy says every year Krampus punishes bad boys and girls on Christmas, but Santa gives good boys and girls toys. So now I'm not so scared. I always get toys on Christmas, so I must be a good kid. I still didn't tell him about the thing on the street. December 24th, 2013. My parents will be gone for most of tonight and Christmas morning tomorrow for some stupid work thing they both have. We usually have a Christmas at 6, but we have to wait for Mommy and Daddy to get home first. Ah, selfish fucking pricks. What the shit? Mom told Brad, my oldest brother, that we would have a babysitter because she didn't trust him to watch all 5 of us by himself. Mom often let Brad watch us. Oh yeah, she let Brad, I'm sure. But we had broke a lot of things in the last couple times we were left alone, so Mommy said she would get Rebecca to watch us. Rebecca came to the house at 5. She was very pretty, and Brad couldn't stop staring at her. Mommy and Daddy left a couple minutes after Rebecca got here. This was the first time Rebecca had to watch 6 kids at the same time before, and I don't think she knew what she was getting herself into. My youngest sister, Molly, who's 3, threw a tantrum after our parents left. Levi and Garrett, my younger twin brothers who are both 5, started fighting. Brad talked with Rebecca most of the night, and Rachel spent most of the night in her room. Mom and Dad said that we could still get Christmas gifts tomorrow, but we had to wait to open them until they got home. We made hot cocoa, but the cocoa maker is broke, so the hot chocolate burned our mouths, and we all got candy canes too. Rebecca started to put us to bed at 8 and finally succeeded at 9:30. Even though she was clearly exhausted and frustrated with us, she told us she had fun and that she wouldn't have spent Christmas Eve any other way. She would. I awoke in the middle of the night at about 11 to see a crimson moon casting a dim red glow on the winter snow. I looked out my bedroom window and saw a red object coming towards our house. Fast. It was hard to make out, but it looked like a red sleigh being pulled by reindeer. I instantly recognized his Santa sleigh, and I ran to hide on the stairs and waited for him to come down the chimney anxiously. Out of the window to the right of our fireplace, I saw the sleigh fly overhead and heard many hooves trotting on the roof. I made sure to remain perfectly still and as silent as a mouse. I waited for what felt like an eternity while soft footsteps echoed on the roof above me, getting closer to the chimney. I heard scuffling as ash and dust started falling from the fireplace. Soon, 2 black boots landed, and the rest of jolly old Saint Nick came through the fireplace with a bag of toys on his back. Without speaking a word, he went straight to our tree, took gifts from his bag, scattered them under our lit-up plastic evergreen, and started on the milk and cookies we left for him. I felt that I held my breath the entire time I was hiding on the stairs. I couldn't believe I was spying on the real Santa Claus in my own home. Eventually, he made his way over to our stockings and started pulling various knickknacks and candies in our stockings, starting with Molly. When he got to Levi, he took out a small black rock, eyed it sadly before placing it in Levi's stocking. It took me a second to realize that he gave Levi coal. I tried to stifle a laugh to the best of my abilities, but a small squeak escaped my lips anyways. Santa turned around and scanned the room. I remained as still as ever, because Santa's apparently a fucking T-Rex. He turned back to the stockings, this time keeping his back to me, and put a piece of coal in Garrett's stocking too. He put a candy cane in Brad's, along with a pocket knife. Rachel got a new phone and some Kit Kats. Finally, he moved to my stocking, which is always furthest to the right, even though I'm the middle child. He began rummaging through his sack as I leaned forward excitedly to see what presents I was getting. Santa pulled out a large jet black piece of coal and stuffed it into my stocking. I felt a wave of anger, sadness, and regret all at once. I almost stood up right then to tell off the jolly old elf, but when he turned around, I saw tears in his eyes. He looked as if he was filled with similar emotions as I was, like he didn't like to have to give bad kids coal. It was for this reason that I remained quiet as Santa climbed back up my chimney, got into his sleigh, and flew away. I watched out my downstairs window as the sleigh flew from the roof and into the black abyss of Christmas night. I sat there, still in place for a very long time, pondering how I could be a better child next year when I spotted something out the window again. It looked like the same figure I'd seen before, but this time the sleigh looked as if it was black. I wrote this off as being really dark outside, except for the moon's red glow. I wonder why Santa would come back. Maybe he forgot something. Maybe he made a mistake. Maybe I wasn't naughty and he was on his way back to fix his mistake. My mind was racing from one thought to another as I began to hype myself up for all my possible Christmas presents. I stopped watching the window and had begun to daydream about the next morning, until hooves on the roof interrupted my thoughts. I heard loud, heavy clacking this time as he got closer to the chimney. Ash began to fall down the chimney, creating a cloud under the fireplace, around the fireplace, as what I assumed to be Santa began climbing down and landed with a loud clash. My final thought before seeing what came next was, how has no one noticed all of this? Through the cloud of thick black ash protruded 2 large horns with stripes of red and white like those candy canes. As dust settled, the rest of the figure was revealed. His skin was pale, icy-looking blue. His beard was like Santa's, except it was black and came to a point. His nose was long and his face looked grizzled, but more human than I thought. His horns looked like they'd touch the ceiling if he jumped. His body looked human in shape, but animal in appearance. His legs were twisted and ended in hooves like that of a cow or bull. He had a long tail. His torso was contorted, and everything but his face and palms were covered in fur. He had broken chains around his wrists and what looked like a heavy red Christmas ornament attached to his tail by another chain. His ears were pointed, so were his yellow teeth, Despite his horrid, outlandish appearance, the most noticeable thing about the creature were its bells that it wore, and the basket on its back that had the limp arm of a child hanging from it. The stories were true, and so is Krampus. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had seen sleighs go by, magic reindeer fly overhead, and had even seen Santa Claus himself, but none of that could have prepared me for the beast. That is Krampus. He moved around the room with such speed that I was caught off guard. This thing looked to be about 8 feet tall without its horns, and with them, yeah, I know, I'm so sorry. I just smacked the fucking... You all got it. Consider that your Christmas spanking for all you naughty children. I spanked your eardrums. You're welcome. He moved around the room with such speed that I was caught off guard. This thing looked to be about 8 feet tall without its horns, and with them he towered over everything in our large home. He made his way to the fireplace and took the coal from Levi's stocking. He rolled it around in his long, bony fingers for a moment, then took the coal from Garrett's stocking, and then finally mine. He studied the coal for a moment, a wide smile full of pointy yellow teeth beaming across his face.
Naughty little children,
I heard it say in a cold, raspy voice. A shiver ran up my spine as it spoke. I was paralyzed in both fear and awe at the creature that roamed my living room beneath me. I thought he was moving towards the tree, but it walked past it and started going down the hallway into Levi and Garrett's room. I remembered the things my father used to say about it, that he whips bad kids, takes them away. Sometimes he eats them. Sometimes he shakes them and scares them into being good. All of these horrid thoughts and more danced through my head as the monster creeped into the twins' room. I tried to scream with all my might, but no sound would come out of my mouth. As I was finally able to choke out, "Levi, Garrett!" Screams had already filled the room. Levi came running out of his room, screaming his head off as Garrett followed suit. The creature's long, twisted arm reached out from the room and grabbed Garrett's leg, pulling him back in. I stood up from my spot on the stairs and motioned for Levi to come to me. Garrett's screams fell silent. Krampus emerged from the room alone. His nose seemed shorter now, his face even more deformed. I gripped Levi's hand tightly, and we ran for Brad's room. I wailed on his door again and again, but he wouldn't come out. I would have tried harder to get his attention, but I could hear it coming up the stairs as each hoof hit each step. I took Levi to the laundry room and told him to hide in the chute. Once he was inside, I began lowering the laundry hamper so he could get downstairs without confronting the monster. Before he was lowered out of sight, I told Levi to go to start the hot cocoa maker because I had a plan. This kid's gonna fucking McAllister goddamn Krampus. Let's go. He nodded, and once he got to the bottom, I felt the hamper get lighter as he climbed out. I heard the hooved feet getting louder and closer to the laundry room. I began pulling the laundry hamper up and climbed in just as the door was violently flung open despite the locks on it. The beast licked his lips with his long, skinny tongue as he slowly approached my trembling body inside the hamper. I began to bounce myself, rock the hamper as Krampus got closer and closer. The hamper wouldn't fall no matter how hard I rocked it, and the creature was nearly upon me. I felt its breath on me as it excitedly panted, getting further. I expected its breath to be hot like that of a dog's, but instead it felt like the coldest winter chill caressing my skin. I shook the whole hamper as savagely as I could before it finally budged. The hamper fell, and before I knew it, I was on the first floor. I crawled out of the chute and ran to the kitchen as the demon rampaged upstairs. As I came into the kitchen, I noticed no signs of my little brother, but I did see that the hot cocoa maker was on. The stomping of the creature upstairs continued, but it didn't seem to be near the stairs, so I focused on finding Levi. He wasn't hiding in any cabinets, and he wasn't anywhere near the living room. I decided that he might be in his room, so I quietly creeped to it slowly but steadily. The twins' room was trashed entirely, and Levi wasn't there. But there was blood on the wall. I shudder to think that it once belonged to my baby brother. A small, bloody handprint was smeared on the wall by the door. Dread was all that I could feel in that moment. Dread for misbehaving all year, dread for what had become of my little brother, and dread for the silence that fell in place of hooves stomping around upstairs. I quickly and silently made my way back to the kitchen and took out a large coffee pitcher of scalding hot cocoa. As I crept out of the kitchen into the living room, I had an ominous feeling of dread, as if I were being watched. I could barely see in the dark of the night, and I couldn't locate our light switches. The only source of light I had was the dim, eerie glow of the lights from the Christmas tree. As I scanned all entrances to the dining room, something moving caught my eye. The chandelier had began to swing as if something had bumped it or hit it. There was a soft thudding that accompanied the squeaking of the rocking corona. My corona. As I looked around to make another vague shape in the glow Christmas lights, I saw what bumped the chandelier. The monster was crawling on my ceiling like a large, twisted spider. His arms were bent in excruciating-looking ways to grip the ceiling and watch me with eyes that burn like fire. I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs at the very sight of it, but instead I held my ground. A cruel smile crept across the face of the predator who was stalking me. He undug his fingers from the ceiling and landed on the floor in front of me with a thunderous crash mere inches away from me. And that was his mistake. I threw the entire pitcher of burning hot cocoa on his face, and the beast immediately started writhing in agony. He covered his hands over his quickly blistering face. He took his hands off his face just as it began to melt and peel off, the bits of flesh and blood melting away to reveal his horrible skull, with its eyes still in their sockets. It froze for a while, and for a brief moment I was happily assured and content that the Krampus was dead. But then it only started cackling, an awful and disturbingly malevolent laugh. It pierced my ears like knives and overloomed over me to instill as much fear as it could. And it was working. Before my very eyes, the muscles around the creature's skull started to grow back, and in seconds its new face had formed. It looked more like a goat with pointy teeth than a human, but you could still partially see it in there. Its beard was still as long as before, but now it looked almost out of place on the demonic beast's head. I turned and ran behind the Christmas tree, avoiding the abomination's lanky arms as I ran by. The Krampus immediately started coming towards the tree, intent on harming me. I pushed the large plastic evergreen on the monster and ran back upstairs to find my little brother. I wailed on my siblings' doors, but no one would wake up no matter how hard I pounded on their doors. Everyone locks the doors to their rooms whenever we go to sleep, so we're not bothered, but the doors are also heavy and not much sound gets through them. How fucking heavy are those doors? What the fuck? I began to shout for Levi as loud as I could, hoping he'd respond. Then Levi appeared at the top of the stairs. We stared at each other. He looked terrified and sad. I started to walk towards him when suddenly my baby brother was impaled by the Krampus's horns. His body was thrusted up and thrashed around by the savage creature as he convulsed and shook spastically on its horns. I've seen people die on TV before, but watching it in real life, it's entirely different. No one should have to go through it. My brother didn't deserve that. No one deserves that. Santa and Christmas are about love and cheer. Krampus made Christmas about hatred and retribution. I watched helplessly while the thing ripped my brother's shaking body from its horns and dropped his lifeless body into the basket on his back. The demon began to strut towards me with malicious intentions, so I ducked into Mom and Dad's empty room and opened the top right drawer in my dad's dresser. I wasn't tall enough to see what I was reaching for, but then I felt it and pulled out my dad's pistol. I opened the other dresser and put 2 bullets in the pistol by the time the creature burst open the door. I shot it twice and hit it both times. But it was unfazed by the bullets. The loud noise clearly hurt both our ears, and as the monster clawed at its ears while screaming in pain, began to quickly crawl towards the window until something long, thin, tight, and slimy gripped my right leg and began pulling me back. I looked behind me to my terror to see the Krampus was using its incredibly long tongue to pull me into its mouth full of sharp, jagged teeth. I began to breathe in and out quicker and quicker and began panicking as my foot got closer to its mouth. I lifted my left leg and kicked it in the face twice before its tongue finally loosened, but before I could breathe, Krampus picked me up and began shaking me wildly. I kicked him a second time, this time with my right foot, and he flung me into the hallway where I began limping away. I had reached the end of the hallway when I heard a loud popping crack sound, moments before feeling a sharp sting all across my back. I looked back and saw the holiday devil had whipped me with a whip like a lion tamer would use. I felt the warm ooze onto my back as a new pain started to settle in. I started to limp my way to safety when I was picked up by Krampus again. His cold, long fingers wrapped around my back and stung my cut even worse. He looked at me right in the eye before lifting me behind him and dropped me into the birch basket on his back. On the outside of the basket, it looked like it could only fit a couple kids inside, but inside was massive. I fell into a mountain of bodies. There were hundreds or thousands of kids in that one basket, piled on each other, not all alive. Where you couldn't see other kids, which made up the trembling ground, you only saw darkness. No sounds could be heard from inside or outside, really, either. Kids would scream, mutter, shout until their throats clearly hurt, but no sound came from their mouths. Every time I thought the situation couldn't get any worse, it got way worse. I waited what felt like a millennia to escape as new kids would fall in and join the confusion to show how much time passed. Eventually, the Krampus reached into the basket and began to pull out another child. His arms became larger as he reached in the basket and stretched out to a panicked girl. I grabbed onto her leg and let myself be carried to salvation. When we were pulled from the basket, I let go of the kid and fell behind Krampus. He didn't notice I escaped. He was focused on the girl. He looked at the small girl for a second before biting into her flesh with his large, sharp teeth. I never knew the kid's name before the creature devoured her, but I owe her my life for helping me escape. I backed away slowly from behind as Krampus feasted on the fellow child at its dinner table. I had no idea where I was now, but it was dark and it was cold. I think it's where the creature lives. After the monster was finished eating, he picked up a small wooden box, opened the top, and spat something that glowed a bright green into it. Then he took the box over to a rusted doofus that he opened, entered, and then left a few minutes later without the box. He then left the room, leaving the child's remains on the large platter and a rusty door to my curiosity. It said doofus. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to read the words. It also said, like, kept into the room and... Oh, spooky spaghettis. Silly things. I opened the door to see dozens of more wooden boxes. I also saw many creepy-looking porcelain dolls and other creepy toys. The door behind me closed, and I was immersed in total darkness. I got up my phone and used it to barely light my way. I walked past a jack-in-the-box with a scary face. I walked past a baby doll that looked withered and old. I found a sack doll that looked like a creepy, rotting skeleton, too. I thought it was like Santa's rejected toy shop until I found the word Misfits smeared in red paint next to a clown with a skull for a head. Blue eyes in its sockets. Husband! Oh, I forgot you're over there. Husband, it's you! Although you only have one blue eye, but that's still okay. In big fleshy hands. Oh, I'm sorry, husband, it's not quite you. We'll get you fleshy hands next year for Christmas. How's that sound? You can be a Krampus toy. No, sugar, this is a plot phone. It's only useful when he's in Krampus house realm, I guess. I was terrified someone else was caught in the room before. When I got closer to the clown, it jumped towards me and yelled,
Wanna play?
I got really scared and jumped back as the clown let out a scary laugh. I heard scurrying and tiny footsteps of other toys from all around. I started catching the dolls and gingerbread turning their heads as I ran along the walls trying to relocate the door. I found another message on the wall. Why can't we die? Was scratched into the wall by something. I wanted nothing more than for this night to end. When I located the door, I bolted for it as soon as I saw it, but was tripped by a toy soldier with realistic burns on half of his face. I kicked the tiny hunk of plastic away and moved closer to the door when a deformed baby doll bit appeared from the darkness and sank her teeth into my leg. I felt a surge of pain and fell to the ground. I furiously punched the doll's head repeatedly until it unlocked its tiny teeth from my flesh. Ankle biter. The porcelain atrocity scurried off as other terrible toys danced around me in the darkness. More and more of them kept popping up and coming out of the boxes, like the one Krampus spat the glowing thing into. The toys began muttering words, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The muttering got louder and louder until I understood some of the words. Feel our pain. He killed us. But not entirely. He gobbled me up and spat my soul into a puppet. Kill us. Let us die. The things they said were terribly dreadful, to say the least. I got up and started to make my way to the door as the dolls chanted more obscene things to me. We're gonna eat you alive like he ate us. I'm gonna rip out your eyes. Husband! This is all about you tonight. Good for you. Although they continued to chant, none of them came towards me again as I moved around the dark room. I saw a small toy skeleton in Santa's clothes with a beard move by. A puppet with many nails sticking out of its wooden head was strung up to the ceiling, moving and wrestling with its strings. I spotted a stool that was pulled up to a workbench with tools and a teddy bear on it. The teddy bear had real bear claws sticking from its paws and real human teeth in its mouth. I reasoned that this was Krampus's demented toy shop and decided to leave before it was too late. I walked past the bench to the door and started pulling on the rusty metal handle. The door was extremely heavy, but slowly budged and started opening as I pulled back with all my might. Light began to bathe the room and the misfit toys dashed to the shadows to avoid the light. I ran from the dark room, closed the door behind me, and leaned on it for a while to catch my bearings. I looked around at the only other room in this place that was familiar to me. I went by the long table the monster ate the nameless girl at, trying not to think about it, trying to think of something, anything to distract me from the horrors that I've bared witness to on the most unsuspecting and happiest time of year. I walked to an open door and poked half my head out to scan the perimeter of the room. It led to a large room that had various whips, saws, and various other torture devices. I kept in and kept to the wall. I spotted 3 dark wooden doors amongst the darkness and concrete walls. I also found a window, and the snow outside was falling. So slowly, so peacefully. 2 doors were on one large wall opposite of the window, and the other was on the wall to the right of the window. I first tried on one of the doors on the long wall, but had decided beforehand to go to the door right of the window without thinking it would lead me closer to a door out or something. The walls were lined with racks, and racks were lined with hellish masks. Some had horns, some had long serpent tongues sticking out, some had teeth, some had patches of skin, some had antlers. One was a wired skull with antlers, and the antlers had lit candles on them. It was really strange. The room was so large. The other door led to the same room. I left without moving the door in fear that closing the heavy barrier would create a noise and would lead the creature to me. I walked alongside the wall to avoid the equipment, straight to the only door I had left. I opened the door slowly and with caution. The first thing in the room I noticed was a strange tree that looked like an upside-down purple Christmas tree. The trunk was on the bottom, but the pines and branches looked upside down. The tree was decorated with red and green lights and small bones. There was another window in this room, but it was on the same side as the last. There was an open doorway that led to a hallway that teed off, and 2 signs labeled the directions. One said surveillance room, and one said stables. I went to the stables thinking I might be able to find a reindeer to fly out of the place. It seemed like a silly plan. Now in hindsight, I opened the stable door and awful smells invaded my nostrils immediately. There was frost on the floor as well. There were 8 stables lined up along the wall to the right, each with demonic reindeer heads sticking out. Below each head of the doors to each stall, each with pendants with names on them. I read the names out loud as I started down the row. Each deer was a grotesque monster in their own right. 1 or 2 had exposed skulls. Each had jagged teeth. Some had manes and others had dried blood on their fur. 7 of their eyes glowed red. Slasher, I said as I passed the first one. Wrathful, Gorgon, Putrid, Cyclops. P.S. Tag yourselves. Cyclops was missing 1 fiery eye. Rabies, Goner. The last monstrous reindeer looked like a hellish Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. His head held flames that danced from his gnarled snout to the back of its mane. Between its sharpened, bloody antlers, furiously flickered bolts of electricity. Blitzkrieg. I decided riding one was out of the question and began searching for an exit. I realized the only door to the room was the one I came from. I looked all over the room looking for some other way out and saw the reason for the cold. The top crease and upper part of one wall was missing and led outside. It was far too high to reach. I left the stable room and went to the surveillance room. The handle felt icy cold as I slowly opened the door. The room was like all the rest. Large. One wall was covered with monitors. The bottom middle monitor stuck out more than the rest and had a keyboard below it. A chair was also pulled up. Each screen had various kids on it, some in dreadful situations, others minding their own business. No sound came from the monitors, but I started to notice I was hearing a ticking noise. A clock above the door I came in read 5:45. Christmas Day didn't start in my house until 6. The wall opposite of the monitors had many names scratched into it. I wonder if the dead girl's name was in there with them. A door that read exit was to the right of the monitors, but the computer said search name. I sat in the large chair and typed in Garrett Rockford. A nutcracker that had 2 bodies attached from the side of its head popped up. Each body seemed to be trying to yank away from the other. Its face looked like it was in pain. It had the same color of eyes as Levi and Garrett. I looked up Levi Rockford, and the same thing popped up. I sat frozen in awe for a moment. Tears filled my eyes and ran down my cheeks. The ticking of the clock seemed to turn into clopping as I sobbed. I was crying more than I ever cried before, and I cried so hard I began to hear ringing. Then the chair I was in spun around, and I was face to face with Krampus. He looked menacing and insidiously sinister. His horns were partly covered in blood, his long fingers looked sharp, and his eyes burned like never before. He waved his long, sharp, bony finger and tisked.
Naughty, naughty,
he said cruelly, mockingly. He licked my face with his incredibly long tongue, then began to wrap it around my throat. He started constricting his tongue and choked me. I was gurgling and coughing and struggling, did close to nothing. I started feeling weaker and weaker as my head heated up and my lungs screamed for air. My vision even started to become blurred. Then I knew if I didn't do something quickly, I was going to die. I punched him in the face with all my might and knocked him back for only a brief moment as his tongue recoiled into his mouth. I utilized my time and ran towards the exit. I felt the ground shake directly behind me as heavy hooves shook the floor violently in their wake. I felt the creature's cool breath on the back of my neck, and I pushed the door open and ran into the freezing cold as my pursuer followed suit. I ran until I was knee-deep in snow, until a lanky hand gripped me and started dragging me back. The dark sky slowly lit as the sun started to emerge from the bottom horizon. And Krampus stopped dragging me. He dropped me and stared briefly at the rising sun.
I'll come get you again,
he said as he dropped my leg and retreated to his lair as I lay in the snow. A silhouetted figure came from the distance. I closed my eyes for what felt like seconds, but when I opened my eyes, the sun was higher in the sky and the figure was closer. I could make out what he was wearing, and then I passed out again. I opened my eyes to see an outstretched hand with a black mitten on it. It belonged to a fat, bearded man with a silly hat. Santa? I inquired. Shh, child, he said in a soft, soothing voice. Let's take you home. The next thing I remembered was waking up at my bed at home. Levi and Garrett were kidnapped in the middle of the night. I found out from Rebecca, Brad, and Molly, who already told our parents and the cops. I tried to tell them what really happened, but no one believed me. They only got mad when I tried to explain it to them. So I gave up on trying to tell them. And that was my Christmas. And that was the end. You red bastard, you allowed this to happen. Let's take you back to Krampus. I would shit bricks if that was how it fucking ended, and that would have been so goddamn good. If only Santa had said, you know what, you little fucker? You really deserve what came to you. Let's get you back to Krampy. Old cousin Krampy. Alright, let's move chat a little bit so I can actually see it. There we go. Alright. Cousin Krampy. It's always Santa, and y'all know that Krampus is like the goth gay cousin that shows up to Thanksgiving and shit, and the family's like, oh, fuck. He's here. Krampus is like, sup, bitch, I don't believe in your politics. And then tries to give one of the smaller cousins, like, a fucking nose piercing in the bathroom while everyone else is having dessert. Krampus is the kid you want to be. Cool shit. So there we go. That was the special Dommy Mommy Krampus reads you holiday stories. Yay! Krampus and Easter Bunny get high in the backyard. Oh, you fucking know they do. One of those stories talked about the good kush. The who hash. Krampus went and got some sick who hash from his friend the Grinch. And then took it so him and the Easter Bunny could get high before Thanksgiving so that they could sit through the family politics. Because you know the Easter Bunny is like a radical who goes above and beyond to shake the system. So yay! Christmas, I guess. Holidays. Let me start to reveal the beast. I really do just look like a fucking extra in Cats movie. New holiday tradition. Hell yeah! I can't wait till we read tree poems. Look at them. It looks sillier when it doesn't blend in with the hair. But look at that chop. It's curly because I didn't brush it out. Because I'm a mad lad. I am Wolverine. It's gonna be a cosplay one day when I am just Lady Wolverine, but she also fully has Logan's like facial hair that comes down to here and like cuts down. I think that would be fucking amazing. Throw hair. Throw horns. And throw hands at Santa for being kind of a fucking shitlord. Just letting kids die. Don't see fucking very cash money of you, Santa. Oh no, my eyebrow. She's taken off. Oh dear, that's embarrassing. There we go. Well, I'm just gonna be a little Matt Damon for a minute. Mad Max Extra. Fuck yeah. Anyway, this was rad. Thank you all for joining me. Have merry holidays and happy good times. We'll see you on, I think, Monday is our next stream. Group stream. Don't know what, but we play games. And then Wednesday and Friday is Christmas Eve. Yeah. Wednesday is probably the Freckles group birthday stream. Probably, which I have to help Freckles with, which I don't know if Freckles has already left, but I've downloaded a thing so I can help and potentially test that tomorrow. And then Friday, I think Freckles is having a super speckle Freckle birthday stream just for her. And then Crimim is Saturday, so I won't be doing shit then. But potentially on Boxing Day, on Sunday, I might move Skullurday. And then we'll start back on LA Noir and get into arson, which is a fun sentence to say. So plans. Love you all. Have a very good night. Have great Crimim. We'll see you soon. And we'll figure out the next holiday I need to dress up and read for. Maybe we'll just have like a manic reading day, and we'll throw like characters into an AI bot that'll create a huge crossover fanfic for us. One of those ones with the tags that are like that fucking long. And we'll see what happens. So, great. Arbor Day, I will dress the fuck as a goddamn tree. Let's go. So, good night. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for showing up and partying. Have good holidays if we don't see you in the next week. If you don't like them, don't celebrate them. Have good days if you celebrate different things. Have good those. That about all I got. Except these sick chops that don't connect to my hairline. Because they don't have to, because the wig did. Love you guys. Good night.